Hi, so welcome to this video. This is for a demonstration for D100 Dungeon, the mapping game, which what it does is it allows you to play D100 Dungeon using this rulebook. You'll still need a copy of this rulebook, but with physical components. And so this is not part of the mapping game. This is something separate that we're using in this video. The mapping game contains the map cards, overlay counters, a selection of tokens and monster cards. Now if you haven't seen already, you can see the video of setting up the game. We set up the mapping game prior to this. I've been away, I've created an adventurer, a new adventurer, and what we're going to do is we're going to do Dungeon Quest 1 using the mapping game. Also I've got some spell cards which is an optional extra, and I'm using them instead of rolling on table S. I'm going to shuffle these and roll them and draw them instead of rolling for them on table S spells when we find a spell, and then I'll add them directly to the spell book here. And then contained within the spell book are some reference cards. Some of them you can see here. So the spell cards come with all the spells from the original game. 7 I think reference cards, which is similar to your handy sheet. It's just got all the information stored for you. And a bonus monster card. But what we've got is so we've created our adventurer. I've created an elf sorcerer called Melvin Angry Marv, and he's ready to begin his quest, which is training number 1. So what you need to do is find training number 1 on the quest table, and it tells us Dungeon Training 1, monster encounter -40, so we've applied that to the dungeon track. This is an optional extra as well that you can get, which what the dungeon track does is instead of detailing all this information whilst you're playing, all your keys and your poison and so forth, and health ratios and the time track, it's all done on this tracker. So I thought rather than do a separate video demonstrating each one, I'll pile all the components in that are available for the game, and we can demonstrate the whole thing while we play. So for full details really, go to www.mk-games.co.uk for full information on all the separate different components that are available. So we've created this elf sorcerer. He's got 40 in strength, dex and intelligence, and we've applied our skill bonuses as you would for a game. So right, what we're going to do is we're going to actually begin. So yeah, we was looking up the quest. So it tells us that we've got to loot 3 parts from monsters in the dungeon. Okay, so what we need to do first is you've got your mapping game rulebook, and that gives you details on how certain elements are now transferred from a normal game into using this mapping game. And so what we'll do is we shall begin. So following a normal turn sequence, normally you shade in 1 clock face on the time track. We're using the dungeon tracker, so we use a crystal, we move that over to oil, over to the first segment of the time track. It tells us we've got to spend 1 oil, so we spend 1 oil. Okay, next we need to begin the dungeon, so we're going to draw a dungeon card and place that down, and it's a geographic. So the first thing we need to do is draw a random geographic counter. Okay, and we've got G25. So what do is you look up G25 in the main rulebook, and that's the result number that's found on this table. So we find 25, it tells us lava. So pools of glowing hot lava gurgle and bubble all around. Every few seconds pieces of rock explode into fragments, sending hot lava in all directions. It tells us in the book, add lava 25 to dungeon sheet. Each time the adventurer leaves this area, test lava path in order to find a safe way to an exit. So what we need to do is we find overlay counter 25 and place that on the mapping table. Now a couple of things with the counters. You can see there's a square icon on the overlay counter, and that on the geographic counter, and that tells us that there's an overlay counter associated with that particular geographic feature. So that told us to find the geographic overlay counter here, and on the back of the mapping book leaflet there is instructions on how some of these are to be placed or used within the game. So the other thing is that there's actually there might actually be more than one overlay counter that you can use. In this case we've still got one left, and so what we do is we put that counter back into the pool, muddle it all up. When we draw the last, when we've placed the last overlay counter that's associated with that geographic counter, so i.e. when we've drawn our last G25 and placed our last overlay counter onto a map card, then that overlay, that geographic counter that we used, is placed to one side and out of the game. So for now we've still got an overlay counter G25 that we can place, so we put the geographic counter back in the pool. Okay, so next thing is there's a little door icon on the actual map card, and so what we need to do is we need to draw a door counter. So we draw a door counter and place it face down on that exit, so that tells us there's a door there that needs to be dealt with. Okay, so now we move on to the next part of the rules, which is we can search the area if we want. And so to search the area, what we do is we roll on table F from the main rulebook, and so we need to roll D100. We've got 34, and it tells us we've got to spend some time, so we move that around one, and it says searching for some considerable time, the adventurer finds nothing of real value. Okay, and that ends turn 1. So what we do is to say that that area has been searched, we place a green search crystal on that area. Okay, so we're now ready to move on to turn 2, and what we're going to do is move this along here, and it tells us that we need to roll 1d10 equal to or less than the number, which is 4, and if we do, there's an encounter. Okay, so we've rolled a 5, so there's no encounter. Okay, so now we need to choose an exit, and I'm going to choose this door, see what that is. Oh, it's open. So what we can do now is we can return that back to the pool, and that now that's been removed, that tells us that that doorway is now open, and we can ignore that door icon for the rest of the game. Okay, and we might as well go in that direction, so we draw another map card, and we've got an encounter, a red card, and there's also a door icon there. So what we need to do is draw another door token, place that on the door icon, and now we need to generate a monster. So we draw a random token and we get monster E15. So what you do is you find E15, find encounter monster 15 from the encounter from the monster deck, and we've got some zombies, and they have disease and pack. So what you would do is you'd look up disease in the main rulebook, or you might have a sheet for it, but basically disease, if the monsters roll a 1, so when he scores a natural 1 on their damage dice, they will infect 1 point of disease to us. So we'll watch for that. If we roll a D1, if we roll a result of 1, then the monster will actually have inflicted some disease. And so for now, what we do is we enter combat. So my adventurer has strength of 14. He's using a strength based weapon, which is a longsword, does +2 damage. And so what we need to do is we need to set up the we're going to be using strength to attack, and we've got to see we've got to set up the monster's health points. So they're a pack monster, and so on the track what we do is we track all the monsters using this value at the top here, which runs from 1 to 10. So we've got 4 monsters, and we can set them up on that track. So there's 3 with 4 and 1 with 5. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to roll for combat. Okay, so in a round of combat what we do is we roll for the monster's reaction. So we've got a 7, which tells us that the monster will attack as normal, and now we roll, and we're rolling with our longsword, so we need to roll 40 or less to hit the monster. We've rolled 60, so no hit this time. Now the monster will attack us. Now they have the pack ability, so he's got an attack value of 35, so for each monster beyond the first they get +5, so 35, 40, 45, 50, so we're rolling 50 or less for the monster. He's rolled 60, so we avoid our blows that round. Okay, so new round, we've rolled 3 for the monster's reaction, so it will attack as normal, and now I've got to roll 40 or less. I roll 33, so I've hit the monster. Now I'm going to roll location and damage. Okay, so I've hit the monster in, let's have a look, in the legs, -1 damage. I've done 2 points of damage on the dice. My longsword does +2, so that's 4, and then I deduct 1 because I've hit them in the legs, which is 3, and there's no defense modifier, so the first monster takes 3 points of damage. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now we see if the monster hits us. Okay, 05, so the monster's hit us, and we roll 4, no disease this time, so that's 4 points. That's in 4, which is our arms. There's no adjustment, and it's done 3 points of damage. There's no damage modifier, so we take 3 points of damage in our arms. We've actually got mail sleeves equipped, so we take 2 points off, so that leaves 1 point of damage, and we're going to deflect that point to our mail sleeves. So our mail sleeves are now damaged, shading the box there. Okay, so now we start a new round of combat. Okay, so they've rolled 10, so they actually escape. Now what we could do is, if we really wanted to fight that monster and keep that monster in combat, what we could do is we could either spend a fate point, well, we could spend a fate point basically to re-roll that roll, but we're not desperate to keep that monster in the fight, and so it actually escapes. So when a monster escapes, return that counter back to the pool. The monster card can go back to the reference deck, and we're now finished combat. So we're actually in that area there, and so now our choices are is to exit, search. We'll search first. So again we roll on table F, see what it tells us to do. Oh, and I've just remembered that when we left that room we was meant to make a lava test. So what we'll do is we'll backtrack a bit first before we actually do that search. We're going to backtrack. We should have done that before combat really, but we'll do that now. So we've got lava, so we need to make a lava test. So I need to roll Dex -10, and I can use agility and luck as my skills. So we've actually got dexterity 40, so we make -10, which is 30, plus luck and agility. We've only got luck, so we've got to roll 35 or less. Okay, we rolled 49, so we failed that, and it tells us that if we fail we take 3 points of damage from the lava. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we're going to search. So we've done what we should have done in that room there. Now we've moved back in, we've had the fight with the monster, and now we're going to actually see if we find anything of value in the area. Okay, I've rolled 91, no adjustment to the time track. Moving a large mouldy carpet from part of the dungeon floor, adventurer finds it was covering a recessed panel. Prizing it away reveals a treasure lying in a roughly carved out hollow. So now we need to roll on table B, TB, -15 to our roll. Okay, so I've rolled 98, 93, 83, 83 on this table. Elixir of Greater Health. Drink to gain 2 points of primary health points. So it's worth 800 gold. So I think what I'll do is I'll just drink that straight away. So I now gain +2 to my primary health. So for 800 gold that is probably a good thing to do. So our primary health goes up to 22 now, and we're going to gain 2 health points, so we're now back on 19. And so the way this track works is that it'll only go up to our maximum value. So I could drink a lesser healing potion, excuse me, +2, it restores +4. So if I was to spend that I would gain 4 points, so that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, but the maximum is 22, so it'd stay at 22. So I'm not really ready to drink a potion yet, so I'll leave that for now. And that area is searched. Okay, so now we begin. Now we need to begin a new turn, and so we move that round 1 track, and we're going to flip that over and see what that is. So that's also an open, so we can put that back in the pool. So that door is now open. Mix it up a bit, and we're going to draw. Just move that down. I'm struggling to find space to get everything in the camera shot. Okay, so we draw another card, and we've got a yellow room, so we move him in, and he's got another door. And so what we do is we randomly take one of these, place that over the door, and now it's not really a lot to do in a yellow area, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to search the area. Okay, so I've got 22. I'll find 22. Okay, it tells us we've got to move that along 1 point. We've got to spend a bit of time, and we actually use another oil up, so we're now on 18 oil. And we got, while searching around, a piece of equipment gets caught in a crevice on the dungeon wall. The adventurer carefully pries it free but suffered some damage. Roll 1d10 for location until an item is rolled and shading 1 pip on its damage track. So not very good. Okay, so we're going to roll this and we get 8, so we haven't got any equipment equipped there. 3, nothing there. 7, nothing there. 7 again. 9, we've got our got some mail armour on our legs, so we need to shade in 1 pip on its damage track. Okay, and now that was a search, so mark that with a search, and now we're going to see what that door is. Oh, it's open again, so pretty boring with the doors, but there you go. And now we begin a new turn, or we should have begun a new turn before we looked at the door. Okay, and nothing to do on there. And so you'll notice that as I'm drawing the cards, I'm placing the arrow in the direction that the adventurer is going, and then we need to draw a geographic count, and we got G49, which has got a tick on it. So we'll just show you that. The encounter, the geographic counter, has a tick icon on it, which tells us that it's an interacted item. There's something that interacts on the table that would normally have been rolled. So it's 49, and it's portcullis. So a large portcullis blocks the way into the area. Okay, so if we place that over the exit, and we're still on this side, so to actually gain entrance into that area, what I actually need to do, it says it will need to be lifted and wedged open, or the adventurer will be forced to return to the area where they were last in. Draw a portcullis, well, we've placed the marker on it, and we cannot proceed into the new area until the portcullis has been marked with a tick. The adventurer may to lift the portcullis as many times as they wish until it is lifted, or they give up trying. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try and lift it, otherwise we've got to backtrack all the way back to here. So I really want to get that portcullis open. So it's strength minus 15, we've got a strength of 40, so that puts us on 25, and it's got the strong skill associated. We haven't got strong skill, so basically we need to roll 25 or less to get it open. Okay, so we've rolled 89, so it tells us that we failed. We've got to move that along 1 on the time track, and we take 1 damage. Okay, so now we need to roll for an encounter. We might have triggered an encounter, so we need to roll 5 or less, and we rolled 7, so no encounter this time. And we're back to that portcullis, so let's try and get that portcullis open. So we're rolling 25 or less, and I've rolled 03. Now that's an experience roll, so we can either shade in 2, it's a strength based skill test that we was making, so we can either shade in 1 pip on our strength experience track, or we can shade in up 2 pips on any of the skills associated. So we could shade in 1 pip on our strong, 2 pips on our strong, or 1 pip on our strength. So I think what I'll probably prefer to do is shade in 1 pip on our strength track. Although strong is quite a good skill, it's not used as much as strength, so I'm going to shade in the strength track. Okay, and we get the portcullis open, so it tells us that the portcullis is to mark it with a tick. So now that we've interacted with that, that can be removed from the game and put back into the geographic pool, ready to be, and we'll mix it up, but ready to be drawn again at a later turn. And now we can move into this area. Okay, so now we get the choice of either to search or press on. So I'm going to give this room a search as well. I'm going to roll this on the finds table, and I've rolled 63. Okay, and I find 63. Searching some junk, a torn page from a spellbook is found. It's a little crumbled but the spell is intact. Roll on table S and add the result to your spellbook. And there's also a time thing, it took us a bit of time to find that. And so instead of rolling on the table, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a spell card. Can't remember whether I looked at them last, but I'll give them a quick shuffle. And now we'll see what spell we get. So we get a summon spell, and we're going to write this on in our spell book, and it tells us -4 health points. Try and write that in a bit better. -4 health points, and then we muddle them back up. Okay, and we need to mark that with a crystal. Now we'll begin a new turn. We need to shade another oil off, and we're going to head this way, I think. Draw a map card. We've got another encounter room. Moving there. So we draw an encounter token. This time we've got E4. Okay, so what have we got? E4. It's a giant spider. Okay, this is quite good because it's actually, if we manage to kill it, it will actually give us a part, which is one of the parts that we need for completing this dungeon training mission. So we need to collect 3 parts. So we really want to try and keep this spider in combat and defeat it so we can get a part. So we're going to track its health points, which is 6. Put that on the 6. So the monster has the web ability, and it will tell us that at the end of the combat round we need to make an avoid web test of Dex +20. Okay, so we're going to see what this giant spider does, and he's going to try and escape. So on this occasion I really want to keep him in combat. I could spend a fate point to re-roll that, which is a bit drastic, but I'm going to try and block his escape. And so to make a block escape, what I would do is I make strength -10, which puts me on 30, and I get to add +5 because I've got my escape skill. So I'm now rolling 35 or less to keep it in the combat. Okay, and I've rolled 52, so the monster actually does escape. And so what I think I'm going to do, I think I will spend a fate point, and I'm going to re-roll the 50 on the dice. I'm not going to roll them both because I've got a result of 35 that I need to roll below, and the 2 is already below 5, if that makes any sense. So I only need to get this roll changed from a 50 down to a 30 or below. So I'm actually going to spend a fate point in this occasion. Puts me on 2, and let's see what happens. So I've done it, 32, managed to keep it in combat, and now it tells us from the escape skill that we now need to start combat from step 4, which is dealing damage to the monster. Okay. So we've rolled 6 and 5, so we've hit it in the hand for 5 points of damage, +2, 5, 6, 7. It's got a defense of 2, so it makes it 5 points of damage. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we've finished attacking the monster. It tells us that if the monster attempted to escape and has remained, start a new combat round from step 1, otherwise it will attack. Okay, so the monster doesn't get to attack us back. And now what we do is we will make that web test. So we have a web test, and we get to use the dodge skill, which we've got +5 in. So basically it's 60, 40 dex plus 20, 50, 60, +5, 65 or less. We've rolled 85, so we've got stuck in its web, and we can't make we forfeit our attack action and escape. Okay, so we don't get to attack the spider, and now the spider will attack us. Now we will roll for the spider's reaction, and it tells us 6. So, okay, now we roll for the monster. We can't attack. We've had to forfeit our attack and so forth. I think we could attack, action and escape, so we're completely stuck. Can't even cast a spell or anything if our spell book was unlocked, of course. Right, so the giant spider's got an attack value of 30 and it rolls 48, so it misses. And now we need to roll for that web again. So I'm rolling 65 or less, and I've rolled 99, so it's caught me again in the web. And see what the monster does in the combat at around 6, so it attacks normally. And now let's see its attack, 99, so it's as useless as us at escaping its web as attacking. And now we need to make that web test. We rolled 21 this time, so we're actually managed to avoid its web this time. Let's see what the monster's going to do. And it's rolled a 1, so it's now angry. It's pretty annoyed now, so it gets +10 to its attack value because it's on well below half of its health points. Okay, so we get to attack first, and I'm now going to roll 40 or less. We've rolled 88, so we miss. Okay, but the little monster's going to attack us back, and it's got +10, so it's got an attack value of 40, and it's rolled 09, so it's done an awesome attack. We roll for location, sits in the legs for 3 points of damage, -1, and -1 for its damage modifier, -1 because it hits in the legs, so it's done us for 1 point of damage in the legs. And I've got an armor value of 2 there, so no damage gets through. Okay, so now let's go for that web again. 84, fail. And okay, so now we need to roll its reaction. 10, it's going to try and escape, and again I'm going to block that escape, or attempt to block that escape. And so block escape is -10, 30, +5 for my escape field, 35 or less. I've rolled 23, so I block its escape, and now I roll damage, and I've rolled a 6 in the 6, which is no modifier to damage, +2 damage is 8, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and so I've managed to kill the giant spider. Because it was escaping, it doesn't get to fight me back. And now what I need to do is I need to roll to see what my part is that I loot from the giant spider. We roll on the parts table, and it's part 1, P1. So I roll and I get 38, which tells us I've got one of its feet. Okay, which is worth 15 gold pieces. So we add that to the adventure sheet. 1 spider's foot. It's worth 15 gold pieces, and that's one one of our objectives so far that we've managed to collect. So I can put a 1 in there, and we're ready to continue. Now this can all go back, and that can get returned back to the dungeon pool. Okay, so it's a red area, so I get plus 10 to the area, and so I've rolled 25 for my search. Okay, 25 tells me that I need to move my track along one. Spend a bit of time, and it tells me that again a piece of my item gets stuck in a crevice and it's going to take some damage. So let's roll location until we roll a piece of item. So I've got 5 hands, 9, so it's my leg again. I get my leg caught, and so that piece of armour gets damaged. Should be more careful, shouldn't I? Right, and now we begin a new turn. So we move that around 1, and we need to roll 6 or less, and I have. So I've rolled 4, and so now I need to draw a monster counter. Okay, and I get E4 again, which I think was that giant spider. So yep, all to the good. Now I get to fight another monster that's got a part value. Okay, now I'm sure I probably missed a few web checks that I should have done in the last combat, so I'm going to try and play this through as accurately as I can. And we're going to begin combat with a monster reaction roll, 8. And so it tells us that if the monster has less than its health points, which is 6, that it will escape, and it hasn't, so it's not going to escape. So now it's just a case of rolling for combat. Okay, I got 71, so I miss. Now the giant spider, 30 or less, 32, so he or she misses. And then that web test. So it tells us, I think it was 65 we needed to roll below. Dex plus 20 plus my 5 from a dodge skill is 65, and so 65 or less, rolled 43, so I managed to avoid its web. And now I'm going to roll for its reaction, and it's rolled a 6, which is attack normally. And now 92, I miss. Giant spider rolls 05, so she hits me. Call her a she, and that's in my torso for plus 1 points of damage. She's rolled a 1, so that's 1 plus 1 is 2. She gets a -1 modifier, so that's 1 point of damage. In my torso I've got no armour there, so I'll just take the damage. And we're now on to checking for that web again. Okay, so I've rolled 18 this time, so I avoid the web. See what she does for her reaction. 2 reaction. If she has less than her health points, then she will gain plus 5 to her attack value, which she doesn't. And so I will attack 40 or less. 67. Giant spider hits me, and let's see where she hits me. 5 hands, 2 points of damage, no modifier, -1, that's 1 point in my hands. I've got no armour in my hands, so I take the 1 point of damage. Okay, and now we've got to avoid that web, and I managed to avoid the web. So now reaction 4. So attack normally, and I need desperately to strike her. Come on. 18, so I managed to hit her, and I've hit her for a lot of damage in the torso, so for 5 points of damage, plus 2, so that's 5, plus 2 for the weapon, 6, 7, plus 1 for the location, that's 8, minus 1 is 7. She takes 7 points of damage, which puts her on -1. But she still gets to make her attack back, so let's see what she does. She rolled 73, so she dies, and we get to win the combat. Now, in the previous combat, I've been making a lot of mistakes. I actually forgot to add the giant spider to the combat track, so I'm going to add giant spider to my combat track, which gives me the plus 100 gold. So I'm going to add 100 gold to my adventure sheet. And we've just defeated another giant spider, so I get to add her to this as well. No bonus to the track. Now, because I'm using reference cards, I don't need to record all this information. I can just use the track just as a list now. So put her back, oops, into there, and she can go back there, and then I need to roll for that next piece of parts. So it's part 1, we've rolled 01, which I've got a spider's tooth. So and it's worth 12 gold pieces. And that is the another objective item. Okay, so we're now on to a new. Now we're on to search. Oh, that was the search. That was the search that we created there. So we need to mark that on there. And now we begin a new turn. So we move the time track marker around 1. It tells us that we've got to eat some food. So move that along 1. And now we are going to draw a card. Okay, and we get a yellow area, so we can move straight away into that area there, and nothing special about that area, we'll just give it a search. On these sort of quests where monsters are involved, I find that searching every area is a definite good strategic plan, because not only are you finding things, and but there's an opportunity that you're going to push the time track around, and the more monsters that we can encounter the better. So if we happen to push this track all the way around on each of these 3 settings, we will have to roll for a monster, and so then we're more likely to encounter a monster that will help us with our quest objective, which in this case is to find body parts off of monsters, or to loot body parts off of monsters. So by searching constantly, we're increasing that chance. Rather than relying on these red areas all the time, we can try and get it completed through completing the time track, or moving the pip around the time track. Okay, so we're going to actually give the area a search now. So we'll just roll the dice, and we've got 12. See what we get there on our table F. 12 tells us we have to add +2 to the time track. So we've moved past an oil, we have to spend an oil. And moving through some of the rubbish strewn from the floor, a small snake lashes out and bites the adventurer's hand, ejecting its venom. Add 2 pips of poison. So we move them along there. And then the way poison works is when we get to this point we need to check for poison and disease, and so what we'd have to do is roll your D10 equal to or less than our poison value, which is 2 at the moment, and if we did, we'd take some damage. Okay, so nothing of any real value, and now we need to look at these. So that was a search. Ooh, so I need to mark that with a search icon, crystal, and now we can either start a new turn. That's what we need to do. So that is check for a wandering monster, 4 or less. We roll a 9, so no wandering monster. And now we need to choose an exit, so I'll go for this exit here. Draw a card, and we've got a red area. Okay, and so what we do is we move into this area and draw a counter, an encounter counter. Okay, and I've drawn E5, so I think that might be goblins or something like that, goblinoids. Okay, so they don't offer anything that we're looking for the request, for the quest reward, which is parts, but they should be pretty easy to dispense of. They only have the pack ability, and so we should be able to bump them off pretty quick, and then we can add them to our combat track. So I think what we'll do is we'll mark up the health points. So they've got 3, 3 and 2. Okay, and we will now roll to see what they want to do. Okay, so 4, they're going to attack as normal, so we're going to take a swing at them with our longsword, 40 or less. I've rolled 13, so that's a hit. See where we've hit them. I've rolled 4 points of damage, plus 2 for the longsword is 6. I've hit them in the torso for another point, that's 7, and there's no defense modifier, so I do 7 points of damage. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now they get to attack back. It's combat simultaneous, so they still get the bonus to their attack value because they're in a pack. So they're rolling 35 or less, 25 plus 5 plus 5. They've rolled over 4, so that's a hit. And let's have a look at that. 7-2 in the offhand. I've got nothing equipped in the offhand for 2 points of damage, so I take 2 points of damage. Okay, and so new combat round begins. See what they want to do this time. They've rolled a 9, so they're going to attempt to escape. So I'm going to block their escape. So I make a strength -10 roll, which will be 30 plus escapes of plus 5. So I've got to roll 35 or less, or they're going to escape me. Okay, I rolled 60. Now at this point I could spend another fate point to try and stop them from escaping, but is it worth it? They're really just adding to the combat track. They've had enough of the combat. They're of no benefit for me to complete the quest, so I'll just let them escape, and so we can then return that back to the pool and put the card back. Okay, but we will search the area now. So that's plus 10 to the roll, to my roll, so that's 57, and 57 tells us we add plus 1 to the time track. Moving away some rubble A weapon is revealed. Roll on table W, weapons. Okay, and I've rolled 73. Did it give me a minus to my weapon roll? Let's have a look. No, so 73 is quite a good roll. It's a two-handed flail. So what I'm going to do is two-handed flail. I'll actually put that in my backpack, and all we do is we just copy the results down. +2 damage, and it's got a 243 gold value and a fixed value of 49, and it could be damaged. So if we roll a d6, rolled 4 plus 4, half of 4 is 2, so it comes with 2 pips of damage. Now we get to mark that area, and we can continue with our turn. Okay, so I've run out a bit of room, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try and rotate this round so I can carry on filming the positions. So how am I going to do this? Let's try and turn it all together at the same time. Okay. There we are. I think that came off of there. So at least now I can carry on recording. All we need now is for turning to go that way, and then we're doomed. Okay, so where are we at? Right, we just almost killed a goblin which escaped, goblinoids, and there was actually a door icon there which I missed. So let's place a door icon there, and we're going to begin a new turn. So we move that along 1, spend another flask of oil, and what did we trigger there? Oh yeah, the oil. So let's have a look what this door is. So it's a trapped 5. Ouch. Okay, so looking on the door table, T5, it says dex -20 to open. So I'll give it, ooh, ouch, it's going to hit me with 5 points of damage if I fail. So do you know what, I'm going to leave that door. I'm not going to try and open it. So I'm going to leave that in place, and I'm actually going to move back to this area here. So I'm going to start a new turn, and then we move back into this area here. And in that area, oh, actually I did that wrong. So instead of using that exit, I use that exit. Now I'm going to begin a new turn, and there's nothing to encounter in this room or anything, so I'm going to flip that over and see what that is. It's an open doorway, so that's good. And then we're going to proceed through that exit. Okay, it's a blue room, blue area, and it's got a door icon. So let's draw a random door icon. Okay, place it on there, and I'm going to search that area as well. I'll get +20 for searching blue areas. So that's 72, that's 92. Let's see what we get for 92. No bonus, no adjustment on the time track. Moving a large moldy carpet from part of the dungeon floor, the adventurer finds it covered a recessed panel. Prizing it away reveals treasure laying in a roughly carved out hollow. Roll on table TB treasures B minus 15. So we'll take 15 off of this roll. So we've got 17 there. And 17 tells us it's an objective item. So it doesn't count for this particular quest. So instead it has a value of 150 gold pieces. So if the quest had told us that we needed to collect objective items, then it would count. But because it doesn't, we need to actually loot the part off of the monster. It doesn't count, but it's worth 150 gold pieces. So I add objective item, 150 gold pieces. Okay, so, and now we mark that area and we start a new turn. So what are we going to do? I think we'll start a new turn. We need to roll 5 or less for an encounter monster. 5 or less, yep. So we encounter a monster, so we need to draw a monster counter. And we've got E12. So it's quite a powerful one. So the way these cards work is that the place that they are featured, so this is the 12th position that you will find the goatman on the encounter table. So you can judge how powerful the monster is by the higher the encounter number that you come across. So we've actually encountered some goatmen, and now we're going to see what the goatman does. So it's got no special abilities. It's not worth an item that we're looking for. It's not worth a pack, a monster part. And so we're just going to roll to see what its reaction is. So it's 7. So it's going to attack as normal. And let's set it up. So it's got 11 health points, and put 11 on the track. And now we're going to attack it. So 40 or less, 79. Let's see what the goatman does. 65. Okay, new combat round. 10. It's going to escape. So on this occasion I'm going to try and block its escape. If I manage to block it, all well and good. If not, it escapes. So my block escape test is -10 plus the escape to strength. So I've got 5. 40 minus 10 is 30, plus 5, 35 or less to block its escape. And I rolled 21, so I've blocked its escape. And now we roll for location and damage. So I've hit it in the head, 6 points of damage. I haven't got the mighty blow skill unlocked. If I did, I could re-roll that, but I haven't. So we do 6 plus 3 points is 9. The goatmen have a defense of 3, so it takes 6 points of damage. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Puts it on 5 health points. And now we start a new combat round. Okay. Because the goatmen tried to escape, they don't get to attack back. And now we roll for its reaction. So it's going to carry on and fight on. And I'm rolling 40 or less. I've rolled 24. So I've hit it. And I've hit it for 4 points of damage. Do you know what? I forgot to add my weapon damage last round. So I actually did 6 points plus 3 to the head is 9. So less the 3 there is 6, but plus 2 is 7, 8. So I actually did an extra 2 points of damage. So it went from 11 down to 3. And for this round I've rolled 4. I haven't hit it. I've hit it in the arms for 2 points of damage. Plus 2 is 4. Minus 3 is 1 point of damage. And now we see it hits me back. And it doesn't, it misses. 72 points of damage. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to roll for its reaction, and this time it's rolled a 9, so it's going to try and escape now. It has less than it was damaged last round, so it's now going to try and escape. And so I'm going to try and block its escape again. So let's have a look. 10 minus 40 minus 10, 35 then. So 35 or less. I've rolled 12, so I've managed to block its escape, and I've hit it in the waist area for 4, 5, 6, minus 3 points, 3 points of damage, which go 1, 2, 3. So it's on -1, and because it tried to escape, it doesn't get to attack me back. So managed to defeat the goatman. So we can put them back. Oh no, first of all I need to decide what I will take as my reward. So first off, let's add the goatman to the combat track. Can't spell, that'll do. Goatman. And I think I'm going to roll armour because I'm pretty low on armour at the moment. So let's see what we get. And roll the D100, we get 83. So I actually picked up a kite shield, which I'm going to equip because I haven't got anything in my offhand. So let's add kite shield. And it gives me a shield value of 3. And it will come damaged, so let's see what its damage is. It's damaged with 1 pip. Okay, kite shield, and it's worth 267.54. So 267 and 54 points of damage, fixed value. Okay, so that's quite a nice find. And we're moving along this way a bit, so we can remove that now from the game board, and let's put in it back the reference card. And I think now what we do, I can't remember now whether that was I think that might have been the beginning of my turn that triggered that. So I think what we do is we'll assume that it is, and I will carry on with this exit. So let's see what it is. It's an open exit, so I get to draw another card and move into the yellow area, and we need to generate another door token. Let's give them a good mix up. Okay, and now what will we do now? So that's pretty much it. We'll search the area again, so there's no bonus for the area that we're in. So I've rolled 21, which is not a very good roll, but it will give us a plus to our time track. So 21 tells us +1 to the time track. And again, a piece of my equipment gets caught in a crevice, so I need to roll for that to see which piece gets stuck in the crevice. Or I'm only rolling a D10 on this one. So my leather cloak gets stuck in a crevice, and I need to shade in a pip of damage. Okay, and that area is searched. And now we will start a new turn. So move that along 1, burn another flask of oil, and this time I'm going to head off in this direction here. Ooh, so we get another red room, no door at the end, so we move our token in there. We need to draw a monster token. And we've got 2, so let's find 2 on the table. Okay, we've got giant bats this time, so this is quite good because they do offer a part, and this would be the, if we manage to defeat the giant bats, this would be the last part we're looking for. Okay, so first of all, special abilities. They've got the fly ability. Now, I suffer any attack I make with strength, I suffer -10 to a monster with the fly ability. If I was using a dex-based weapon, there'd be no adjustment, so I need to remember that I'm suffering -10 to attack it. It's also got the surprise ability, so I need to test surprise, which is intelligence -10, so that's 40 -10 is 30, and I haven't got the aware skill, so I don't get to add anything other, so it's 30 or less. I've rolled 37, so I've failed. So it gets a free attack basically, and let's see what it does. At the moment it's a pack monster, so it's got 2, it's got 3 in the pack, so that gives it a +10 bonus, so that's 35 or less, and it's rolled 10, so it's hit me, and I've rolled 9 and 3, and it gets a damage modifier of -3, so basically it hits me, but it's a glancing blow, there's no actual damage sustained. Now we start a combat round, and 2, it says if it had half its hit points it would gain +5 to its attack value, which it doesn't. It hasn't lost any health points, and what we do is we go ahead and we mark up the health points on the game tracker. So we've got 2, 3 and 3, and now what we will do is we will swing our sword. Got a long sword, +2 damage, -10 because they're flying, and we got to get 30 or less. We've rolled 68, so don't manage to hit it this time, and it's rolling 35 or less, and it misses. So we start a new combat round, and it tells us that it will fight as normal. Excuse me, and roll 30 or less. So rolled 68. Let's see what the giant bats roll. They've rolled 68, so no combat this round, and let's see what they do. They've rolled 2, so again no change to the result, and I'm rolling 30 or less. 24, so I hit this time, and let's see where I hit them. I hit them in the feet for 2 points of damage, +2 from a longsword, which is 4, and they've got no defense modifier, so I do 4 points of damage to them, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's see what they do. So they're still rolling at 35 or less for this round, so they've hit me, and they've hit me for 4 points of damage in my back, so that's 4, 5, 6 -3 is 3 points of damage. I've got a leather cloak, which I could deflect up to 2 points of damage. I've also got my shield, so I've got a shield value of 3, so I could deflect all 3 points of damage, which I will do. And you shade in half a pip for shields, so that is actually 1.5 pips on my shield, so I take no damage. And now we start a new combat round. Let's see what they do. 7, they fight as normal, and I'm rolling 30 or less, so I need to roll 30 or less. Come on, 59. So I don't do it, and they're fighting me back. I can't remember whether I rolled their reaction. I think I did. So let's. So they're fighting me back for 35 points. There's only 2 surviving now, so they get +5. They need to roll 30 or less. So they've rolled 31, so that's a miss. And now we roll for reaction. 10, they're going to try and escape. So on this occasion I'm now going to try and block them. So we need to roll, it's still 30 or less, but we've got this escape skill, so we get 35 or less. Okay, so we've missed, so it actually escapes. So this goes back into the reference, and they get returned back to the encounter pool. And now we continue with our turn. So what should we do? I'm gonna keep searching the areas, keep trying to push this around and encounter monsters. So let's roll on table F, and it's a red room, so we get plus 10. I rolled 40, that's 50. We get to add plus 1 to the time track, and it says hidden and wedged in part of the dungeon floor is a magic scroll worth 200 gold pieces. Roll once on table S and add scroll up before the spell's name and add to the adventure sheet. Okay, so we're going to draw from the spell deck, give it a quick shuffle, and let's see what we get. So I've got control, so I've got a scroll of control worth 200 gold pieces. I'm going to add that to the back of my adventure sheet. So 1 scroll of control. Oops. It's worth 200 gold pieces. Okay, that's quite a nice find. And we'll add a search crystal. Okay, and now we're beginning a new turn. So we're going to move that along 1. We need to roll 6 or less. We've rolled a 7, so no monster this time. And normally I would continue in that direction, but because it's going to interfere with the layout of the map, I'm actually going to backtrack. So I'm going to use this here and come back this way, and I'm going to have a look at that door, see whether I can get through that door, just so that we can keep moving in a direction where it's possible to film. So let's have a look. We need to start a new turn, so we move it along there, and we need to spend a food. Okay, so now we need to check for poison and disease. Right, so we've got 2 poison at the moment, so if we roll 2 or less, we suffer damage. So we rolled 8, so we're safe. Okay, and I think we spent our food. Right, so now let's have a look at this area here. So it's a trapped, locked 1 door. Okay, so we need to make a dex roll and locks and traps. So I don't have either of them. So it's basically dex 40 or less, otherwise I set the trap off. 53, so I set the trap off, and it tells us we lose 1 pick, 1 health point, and we're going to use up some time, so we need to burn another flask of oil. Okay, but we're going to give it another go. Okay, this time we rolled 72, so we failed again, so we need to lose the time. Oops, move the food there. So move the time, we've broken another pick, and we take another health point of damage. Now on this occasion, what I'm going to do, I'm now going to use up one of my healing potions. I'm going to restore 4 health points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you know what, I'm going to use them all up. So I'm going to change that to 0 for now, because I'll probably buy some more later on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. and I'm going to give it another go because I want to get through that door. Okay, so this time I rolled 49, so I've failed again. Another point, broken another pick, and I move it round to there. So now I need to check for a wandering monster, 4 or less, so I find a wandering monster. Let's try and find a monster that's going to give us a part. So I've got 18, which is an orc. So not bad orc monster. It's quite a powerful one. It's probably the most dangerous one we're going to encounter in this particular quest. It has health points of 10, so we put 10 on the track there. No special abilities, and let's see what it does. Let's see what its reaction is. 6, it's going to attack normally. I'm going to swing my sword. 97, I miss. It's going to swing its sword. 47, it misses. And its reaction is 7, so it attacked normally. And rolled 87 to hit. It's rolled 34 to hit, so it hits me. And it hits me in my leg for 3 points of damage. Plus 1, 4 points of damage. And I've actually got some mail armour, so I take 2 points of damage off for my armour value of 2, so that leaves 2 points. I'm going to deflect to my shield. Okay, so no damage yet. And now see what its reaction is. So it rolls a 1. So if it had half its health points left, it would be enraged, but it's not. So let's give it another swing. Yeah, I think I'll give it an attack. So that's 40 or less. 96. It rolls 94. Oops. And we roll a 6. So for its reaction. So let's see what it does now. Let's see what we do now. So 08. So I've made an experience roll. So I get to shade in a pip on my strength, and I've hit it for 5 points of damage, 5 area, 5 in the hands, no bonus, so it's 4, 5, 6, less 3, it's 3 points of damage, so it's 1, 2, 3, and now it will attack me back. It's rolled 78, so it misses. Let's see what it does this round. 9. It's going to attempt to escape. And do you know what? I'm going to let it escape. It's quite a bit tougher than what I am. It's quite a bit stronger. And the rewards are good. They're plus 10 to results on the rewards table, but they're not what I need for the quest. So I'm going to let him escape. And so we remove that from the table, and now we're ready to continue. So we've still got to try and get through this door. Okay, so what we're going to do now, let's give it another try. So it's 40 or less, and I rolled 15 this time, so I've managed to open this up, so I can return that back to the pool, and I can now step through the door. Okay, and we've got a red room. So let's draw an encounter token from the encounter pool. Muddle them up. Oops, and we got E1, which is giant rats. Excellent. So they cause disease and they're a pack monster, so let's set them up. And that's 3, 2 and 2 on the health, and if they roll 1 or less, if they roll a natural 1 on their damage die, they're going to inflict points of disease on us, but for now we're going to roll and see what their reaction is. And they offer a part, so it'd be good if we could defeat them, because that will end the quest. Okay, so straight away they're going to try and escape, so I'm going to block their escape with 30 or less, 35 or less. Let's give it a roll. I rolled 15, so I managed to block their escape, and now I need to roll damage and location, and I've done torso +1 for 6 points of damage, so that's 7 points of damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But combat is simultaneous, so they still get to attack me back, and they have, oh no, they don't get to attack me back because they were trying to escape, and so we've defeated them. So we get to roll on table P2. And we rolled 92, which tells us we found an uncommon item. So let's roll again. Okay, and we get 40. Okay, yes, so yeah, we've got an uncommon giant rat's leg, and it's worth 200. No, it's worth 100 plus its value, so it's 114 gold pieces. Okay. So, and that was the last piece of the objectives. So we've got all 3 objective items, and so we completed the quest. So add giant rats to the combat track, and our quest reward, you look on the quest table, we earn 50 gold pieces, so we can add 50 to our gold piece value, and that really is the end of the quest. So we managed to face off the dungeon. If you wanted to, you could finish off searching that area. So now that we've finished the quest, the next thing that you need to do is, before you start a new quest, is you perform your between quest phase as laid out in the main instructions. But any of the information that you've recorded on the dungeon tracker, you can then start to relay that information back onto your adventure sheet to keep it as a record for the next time you play, because obviously you're going to put this all away, and then the next time you play you'll get it out and you'll need to set it back up how it was. So I'm not actually going to perform the between quests section of the game yet, so I'm going to store all the information as it's represented on there. So I need to shade in 2 pips of poison. I need to change my oil level to 13, and my food to 8, and my picks to 12, and my health points has dropped down to, this is my adjustable health points, or my current health points of 19. And that's pretty much all I need to do. The time track gets reset, and so that concludes the video for D100 Dungeon the mapping game.